Okay, so I think we are live now. We're just going to wait a moment, but for anyone who's catching this is Stand Up, Fight Back, so we're just going
Hey, David, are you there?
hold just for a moment.
Yeah,
he's here.
Okay.
Oh, he was here. Oh, we lost him.
Have any audio? Yeah, but we good. We are
Okay,
live right
so we have some viewers now. Hi, everybody. We'll just have to hope that David is able to join us again. It looks like we just lost him.
Okay.
But let me go ahead and get started in the meantime. So hi, good morning. Good morning to our viewers. You're watching our Sunday morning show, Stand Up, Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. We simulcast on Facebook and YouTube, so please share this with your friends, your family members, etc. And please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. I'm Margot Paez. I'm a scientist, engineer, and occasional journalist. And over here, we're on either side of me, I can't see the screen right now, is my co-host, the amazing grassroots organizer, Carlos Marroquin. Today we have two really amazing guests. They are Ayman Ahmed and David Busch-Lilly. They are two former residents of the Echo Park Lakes Unhoused community, and they were the last to be removed from the park earlier this week. So Carlos, please give us a much bigger introduction and tell us how you know these two amazing people. And hopefully David will be able to hop back on with us soon.
Yes, I'm hoping that David could jump back in the on the live video. But good morning, everybody, wherever you may be watching us. We are here in Los Angeles, California, and of course, I would like to introduce you a couple of people that I met over the recently. Ayman, which I met at the encampment where I was covering and documenting the issues involving Echo Park and the encampment there, and the residents, the unhoused residents that have been living there for about a year or so. Ayman is a young man, very articulate, very smart, very thoughtful, visionary, compassionate. Uh, he he understands issues because he's experienced it himself as an unhoused person. So it is or while David, I know him for a little bit longer. I knew him from the days of Occupy. He has been on the house, and hopefully he can tell us his story a little bit too. But another very articulate man that recently spoke during this the raid, the eviction, and together with Ayman, they have brought in so much views that were before not seen or heard by the people. Today we're going to be educated on the unhoused, the issues that affect them, and personal experience, which is very important. And Ayman and David will be able to highlight the voices of the unhoused that often not heard and many times twisted to accommodate the views of those people that oppose the unhoused. So thank you, Dave. Thank you, Ayman. And we're waiting on David. I believe he's in already. So thank you again, both of you. Margaret, back to you.
Great, thank you, Carlos. Thank you for that great introduction. So yes, David and Ayman, I think we're all. Oh, we lost David again. Okay, so why don't we just get started with Ayman? Ayman, thank you for joining us. And why don't you? I would love to hear a little bit about your background, your story, how you ended up living at the Echo Park Lake, and anything else you may want to tell us a little bit about your background before we get into discussing the events of this past week.
Yeah, my background's not too interesting. It's like anybody else's. I was caught up trying to find a way to pay my rent, going paycheck to paycheck, job to job. Like I was a waiter at a good restaurant, I was a waiter at a bad restaurant, and just trying to go job to job. Eventually, I made my way to my last job at a hospital in Venice, and when they let me go, I became unhoused. And it's just a different experience to Unhoused. You know, my first year, instantly the thing is, where are you going to put your things? So I had my things at the 24-hour fitness center at the gym in the lockers, but that was unstable and anxious every day, because if they ever found out my stuff was in the lockers, then I lost everything. So I would have to like be sneaky with it. And then I'd go there in the morning. That's where I would do my hygiene and I would shower. And then I would go out all day. And then in the evening, I'd come back, put on a change of clothes in preparation for the night, and then shower again and leave. And then I didn't have a tent or anything. I just slept concrete spot to concrete spot, which is the reality for many of the unhoused, because what's happened is they've made outside illegal. So as soon as you find yourself unhoused, you're now somewhat of a criminal in the eyes of the law, and there's nowhere for you to go. So I remember there were times, and I didn't even have a tent. It would just be my backpack and a blanket, and I would find parking spots because at nighttime nobody's parked. And then I'd be woken up by the police and told to leave, but where am I going to go? So I was just half hour stumble around and find a new parking spot to sleep in. I did that for about a year until police pressure became too much. And then I moved to Echo Park because I remember that they had a lot of tents and an encampment. And as soon as I got there, it was instant community and family, because that first night I was there, I went there with 3 people. And that first night I was there, an officer came and told us we had to leave the park. But we had just got there from leaving Santa Monica. Like, there was nowhere outside to go. But then the community, the homeless community, told us, forget that. You can leave your tent here. We're a family. And then, yeah. And then ever since then, I've been in Echo Park, part of a tent community, part of a family in which we helped each other out through mutual aid and support. You know, there was no, oh, hey, David, there was no city. There was no Lasha. There was no urban alchemy. There was no help but us and God and the blessings we got from him. And we took that and we just did the best we can, you know, as a group of strangers who didn't know each other throughout the year, because that's what homelessness is. It's very transient in nature. You know, people come and they go, but what we had in that park, we tried our best to make it work. And in the beginning, it was a constant fight. In the beginning, every week they did a sweep. And y'all have to understand what that is. That's basically someone telling you to move your entire home every week. And when you know you have to move a week later, it's not like you're just chilling for 6 days and living your life and trying to find a job and be productive. No, the whole week you're stressed. The whole week you're just like, oh man, I'm going to have to move. And we did that. We moved every week in compliance with the city, even though that doesn't make any sense. Until one day they said a cleanup or a sweep was going to take 5 days. 5 days with what took hours. And then that's where the protest started. That's where we were like, this isn't fair to life. Like, how are we supposed to live? How are we supposed to grow if you keep moving us? We fought for about 2 months, had some great victories because the community got together and supported us. The housed community around the park, the vast majority are in support of us. You know,
Wow.
We really had something going on there where it was just about love and working together, and the city had nothing to do with that, you know. And then COVID hit, and I understand that COVID is a pandemic that affected a lot of people horribly, but for us, for the unhoused, it was a blessing because it meant we no longer had to deal with Mitch O'Farrell specifically, right? And for most of the unhoused, you didn't have to deal with any sort of government because the CDC gave a shelter-in-place order. So we didn't have to deal with Mitch. We didn't have to deal with the LAPD harassment. We didn't have to deal with sweeps. So we were able to do what you all do, just live, right? When y'all have an apartment or a house, as long as you're not breaking the law, you don't even have to think about your government. You get to just live. And we got to do the same thing. No sweeps, no nothing. We got to just live. And in that time, we built something. We built a solid community built off love and support and mutual aid, no matter what they try to say. Talk to the people who were there, my unhoused neighbors and family, and they can tell you what we had there. It was built off love and mutual aid and support. And yeah, it was a blessing until the past week when Mitch came in with a small army. You know, he came into a community filled with mothers and children and old people and people with mental illness and people with schizophrenia and people with drug problems and people who fundamentally, with all their different labels and problems, were trying to make it work. As different as we all are, we were trying to make it work. It was a community of love. And you know what Mitch did? He brought a small army. 400 policemen. If you all had seen from the perspective of us in that open air jail Nazi cell he had us in, if y'all had seen that, it was like military men with guns and like armada and suited up and I'm like, what? It looked like an occupation is what it looked like. And that's kind of where we are now. I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah.
Yeah, Ayman, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I know Carlos had mentioned to me that this reminded him a lot of what happened at the Occupy, and what you're describing reminds me a lot of the Occupy movement in Los Angeles too. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit later, but I would like to see David. How's it going with your audio? How are you doing? Oh, are you muted? It sounds like we can't hear you.
David.
All right.
Still can't hear you.
Can you go out, take the video off, and maybe just the sound?
David? Might be the headphones. Maybe the mic is not working on your headphones.
Yeah. We had him earlier.
Well,
and while he gets hopefully try to get on the sound, brother, you know, these are some of the things that the unhoused have to deal with. The fact that they don't have access to regular things like be able to charge your phone, be able to have certain things that all of us have, so that we could try to better ourselves. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, you know, that was the foundation of what we were building at Echo Park, and that's what Echo Park Rise Up is. And to anyone that wants to see the real story with timetables when it happened, please check out Echo Park Rise Up, because we documented it the whole time, and it's on Instagram. And that's what it was, because like once you become unhoused, you become a second-class citizen. The thoughts of society no longer think about you. The city planners that map out the city no longer think about you. It's this weird limbo state where you're in the country, but you're not a part of it. So like it came down to a question of, does your humanity change when you become poor and unhoused? No. So then that means we need the same things y'all need. If y'all get to have bathrooms and daily showers, guess what? You don't just stop taking showers when you're unhoused. You also need daily showers. In the same way you guys can cook food, why is there no way for an unhoused person to cook food? Why is that not being thought or helped about? And that's what we tried at the community. You know, we built a kitchen, we built showers in the hopes of giving normalcy back to the unhoused, because when you're unhoused, those things take all day. People just expect you to find a job like that. But how can you find a job when you spend all day trying to find a shower? How can you find a job when your clothes are dirty and you have nowhere to wash it? How can you find a job when your device isn't charged? We're in the 21st century and devices are needed in this way of life. And the city provides, not Lasha, not Urban Alchemy, not the city, nothing. They don't help in any way, shape, or form. And as a community, through the House Neighbors and through organizations like Streetwatch LA and Ground Game, and through the blessings of God, we got together and we tried to bring normalcy, right? Streetwatch started coming 3 times a week as a power-up station. So the entire homeless encampment, plus the surrounding 1 to 2 mile unhoused folk, would come there, come to our park, come to that power-up station, and charge their phones as a way to charge their phones. It sucks that the showers just got built and then just got destroyed, but the vision of it was that because the city only gives 2 days of showers, that's all they do. For all the millions of tax dollars they collect and they can play with, they're only able to provide 2 days out the week of a shower. So the hope was that we could spread and it was spreading. It was just beginning to spread. Come take a shower at Echo Park, hot daily showers. And when you don't have to worry about your shower, when you don't have to worry about what you're going to eat, you can then worry about work. But until then, you can't. And when you don't have to worry about where you're going to live, when you can just root yourself and be stable, that frees up so much time to think about what you want to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. David, how's it going over there?
Can you hear? Is this better? Anything coming through now?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hey, finally.
Finally,
Well,
David.
Ayman did a good job. Ayman did a really good job of
Hey, David.
not only doing everything there for the last year and a half nearly, but now just describing all of it and how much work it is. And I think everybody can see his brother has put his heart and soul into it. And I was out there last year when the raids first started, and I think we shook hands, Ayman, and
Yeah, I remember.
but then came back about 8 months ago. And originally, I was gonna just stay in the background, and I was working on some other personal things. And then when I just saw the way the police were coming in, it's something more, Carlos, you said, I think rings very true. I was at downtown City Hall when the Occupy raid hit. And yes, it was very much like Occupy. It also reminded me very much of an incident years and years ago when I first became homeless and came out of the closet. I think there's a lot of folks in LA that are living in their cars and they're terrified that their employer or other folks are going to find out that they're homeless. And that was in 1998 in Santa Monica, and we took over an abandoned hotel there because these battles have been going on, especially since 1980. And so in 98, I was part of a group where we faced a very similar raid. And this reminded me not only of Occupy, but of the Flamingo Hotel in 1998, when a dozen of us during the El Nino rain that year were sheltering in an abandoned hotel in Santa Monica. We had to chain ourselves to the building. And the city was lying, just like the city of Los Angeles is lying right now. They were saying that the building was uninhabitable. We got a professional building inspector to come in. He looked it over, and he declared that the building was not only habitable, but it was necessary for 100 of us to shelter in.
Wow.
Long time battle. And it's good to see a brother like Ayman springing up, and with all the love that he's got and the community that surrounded him and has been drawn to him. It's been amazing to see what homeless people, when they're left alone, can do. And that is true, that the pandemic gave everybody there an opportunity to focus on building the gardens, building the showers. And now the city's trying to erase that. They're trying to cover it up with a big campaign of lies. It's very fascinating that the only camera people allowed in during the siege were the Los Angeles Times. No other outside media were allowed in. The city's done a lot of media control on us, and they've launched pretty much a smear campaign on everything we've done here. And we're going to, I don't know if Ayman mentioned it yet, but we're going to be having a press conference this Tuesday at Los Angeles City Hall. The City Hall is closed down because they don't want to talk about what happened last week. Specifically, our understanding is that the main reason that they canceled Tuesday's city council hearing is they are terrified of the questions that are going to follow up on the questions that they faced last week before the raid. So we're going to be down there doing the People's City Hall, and we're going to be answering questions 10 a.m. Tuesday at LA City Hall. So that'll be our next big press conference.
Ayman, brought so much inspiration to me personally, because when I first you wanted to build a model for the unhoused, because we see throughout the city people are living on the bridges, people are living in front of businesses, wherever they can feel safe, they live in there. And yes, there is trash sometimes, and there's things that come with a homeless encampment or population, not because people want to do that, it's because they have been pushed to those kind of levels. But your vision was to establish an encampment that was different, and you did that with all the brothers and sisters that live there. You guys did that. That place was, I would say, is like not only welcoming, but you saw the difference, because the times that I walked in there, the place was clean. You could walk over there with your family. Yes, it may look like an eyesore, but if you understand the complexities of being unhoused, you know, it was a huge difference that you guys made, and you guys literally embarrassed the city, because with all the billions of dollars that they have spent on this, you guys brought together the people, you guys were thriving, and you had no money.
For
Yeah.
what they spent to raid us over $1 million just for one day, they could have doubled up the trash pickup, tripled up the trash pickup in the park. I think it's very clear. It's very clear, Carlos. Anybody who was in the park, that the area of the Echo Park Rise Up was clean, maintained. People were working together. And, you know, people were all over that park. The city gave us no help to deal with folks that didn't want to be part of the community, but were camping in other parts of the park. And everybody there did their best. But to try to blame the disorder in other parts of the park that we saw in the months leading up to the raid on Rise Up, on Echo Park Rise Up, is part of their smear campaign. They want to cover up the fact that they shut down the lights. They want to cover up the fact that they shut down the water. They want to cover up the fact that they told recreation department employees to stop picking up homeless trash so that they could build their smear campaign. But as you say, Carlos, anybody who came around our section of the village where people were working together and cooperating together, and we were working to build a safe community in that section, you could see the difference. And they're trying to use this smear campaign now in the last few days, where they shut down all media access to us except for the Los Angeles Times and their camera person. There's a form of media message control that's going on very, very intensely by the city right now against us. And we're going to break through that on Tuesday.
Ayman?
I mean, yeah, it's been, so what we tried in this community with the vision is why do we have to live so radically different? Why, if you unfortunately reach this unhoused position in life, are you no longer getting to have a normal life like everybody else? Like, so that's what we tried in the park, and the city had no help to it. For example, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Hey, can you leave? Sorry, it was just a noise. Yeah, so they cut off the lights, but just on the homeless side, despite us, right? I remember when Mayor Garcetti cut funding for the showers, because when COVID hit, there was no place left to shower, right? When I became homeless, I didn't become dirty. I instantly went to a gym and I instantly had a shower every day. But COVID hit and it cut funding for the gyms, it cut the gym. So then we had to just go to the shelters. But like 2 months into COVID, Mayor Garcetti cut funding for the shelters. So then there was nowhere to go. And then the mobile care units were only coming at that point once a week. Where are we supposed to shower? So we took it upon ourselves to build a shower as a community, because I don't know how to build things. But the thing is there's a lot of talent in these tents. People just for various reasons find themselves in this position. So my friend Zach, he knew how to build things. My friend Gustavo, my neighbor, he knew how to build things. So we all got together, built this shower. And that first shower we built so long ago, it was just a box covered by a trash bag sort of thing. And we would just dump the water on ourselves. That first shower is when the city cut the water fountains off on the entire homeless side. Not on the other side of the park, but just where the homeless people were. So then we had to figure out, how are we going to get water? Okay, why don't we go to the bathrooms where the employees are cool? Not the management staff, the employees are cool. They'll let us use the hose that they use to clean the toilets with. So, okay, we used the hose until the management found out. And then they told them to stop letting us use water. And I remember, and go to our Rise Up page and you'll see the day. It was a Sunday. It was the hottest recorded day in LA for like 10 years or something. And they wouldn't let us fill our 5-gallon jugs of water so we could shower, so we could wash our dishes, so we could do the various things that mankind needs water for. Because remember, we're not like some ET alien. We're still people. We still need water every day to function. We still need to charge our phones. We still need to cook our food. So I remember one of the employees saying that they should have never even let us use water in the first place, because we become entitled to using that hose. Entitled, bro, this camp is filled with old women. This camp is filled with elderly. Like, this camp is filled with people who, God bless them, the best people in the world. I love them, my neighbors. But if you didn't tell them or give them new clothes, they'd wear the same thing every day. If you didn't pitch that tent for them, they just sleep outside. God bless them. Their mind just isn't thinking like that. So people need the water, and he denied it. But again, we were a community of housed and unhoused. So one of our neighbors, Amanda, she took it upon herself to let us use the hose. So then we would just use, or like that spigot in an apartment or whatever, and then we would use that to fill our water. And the point is with no help from the city, with no help from Lasha, with no help from Urban Alchemy, in fact, with them trying their little high school petty ways to make us look bad, like David touched upon, go to our page and see the various trash pickups we did as a community. Okay, I need to stress this. Hoarding is not a homeless condition. It's a human condition, okay? It's just visible when you're outside. But if you look in an apartment and compare the material things to what Unhoused has in material things, y'all outnumber us 3-1, okay? It's just visible outside. And I remember on one of our trash pickups, we got Zero Waste. Okay, Zero Waste is a private trash company that helps with these things. We got them to help us with a dumpster because Mitch O'Farrell provided no dumpsters for us to throw away trash. Y'all complain about the trash, but where do we throw it away? So we got Zero Waste. They were down to come help. And I remember we were picking up a spot, and the trash people of the park came by in their truck, and I was like, perfect, we can work together. Hey, can we put some of this stuff in your truck? And they said they were told by their management, which was told by Mitch, that they're to no longer pick up homeless trash. So we said, okay, and took it upon ourselves to toss it. And I mean, yeah, it's just been an upward fight to just be able to live normally.
You see how dangerous to the city homeless people or this community, us bypassing our corrupt political system and doing things and coming together is. Massive $1 million that they spent to police raid us, the massive shenanigans that they've gone through for the last year to try to make this camp look bad and blame things that were going on outside the camp on organizers like Ayman and the others and myself here in the last 8 months. And this is the truth, because they want to keep us out on the sidewalks, and they want to keep us cycling through this revolving door of shelters. And they don't want renters, who the only thing 60% of in Los Angeles can't afford right now. If you're paying more than 30% of your monthly income right now, look at your wallet. The only thing you can afford in Los Angeles is to be homeless. And they want you, as soon as you think about that thought, as soon as you roll it around in your head, they want you looking out on the sidewalk and saying, that is my only alternative. We are striking the fear of the Lord, the fear of heaven, into every landlord and bank and who's overcharging and getting rich off of the increasing suffering of the working people of LA. That's why they're going to all of this effort with their smear campaign, with their media management campaign, to try to shut us down. Because if we do what we ought to do at this point in this crisis of affordable housing and homelessness in Los Angeles, which is to open up at least up to half of every park in Los Angeles County, to make it available for people who are homeless, for paying 40% of your monthly income on housing. Get into your RV, get into a tent, stop serving, get a gym membership now that the gym memberships are opening. We will bring the rent down in this country when we start refusing to pay them, just as we brought an end to the Vietnam War when we stopped going to it, when we refused to be drafted into it. And that's what we're at right now. This is a war on the life and the fundamental human rights of every middle class and poor person in this country. And we need to take a same stand and stop paying the system that is out to kill us, out to pit us against one another, out to lie about us to each other. The people who came out there and spoke with us found out about us, got to know us. Fears were overcome. Now the city doesn't want that message to get out.
Can any of you speak regarding the, because what the city right now is that the unhoused are just plainly refusing to go to shelters. There's a reason behind that. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, the thing about this whole shelter program is to think about all programs that are funded by the city. If you start something with an intention, the intention dictates the outcome. And if your intention doesn't really care, if it's just monetization of my friends and my family, then it will fail. And what I've noticed outside while I've been there for 2 years, unhoused for 2 years now, or coming up on 3, is that these things are a cycle, right? People go in the program for 3 months, the program ends, runs out of money, and they get kicked right back out. And it's just a cycle keeping people down. And in regards to the specific hotel room for keys, so many of my neighbors found out it was a lie. So many of them went to a hotel and it was booked and they were taken to the Salvation Army, or they went to the hotel or it was only going to be a 2-week reservation. See, these things are not solutions to homelessness. What it does is keeps you down, because think about it, it keeps you on a cycle. If the program is called hotel room for keys, right, and it has $50 million given to a stipend by the government, and they use $10 million on the project, 40 million they pass amongst themselves, and when the money runs out 3-4 months later, you're right back on the street. Okay, so you've had 3 months somewhere, and then they go in their backroom meetings and come up with a new name. Oh, hotel room for tomorrow. Now it's got a stipend of 70 million, like 15 million's given to it. The rest is passed because they're corrupt and greedy. And then that's 6 months, and then you're back out. You could lose 5 years real quick if you're moving every 3 to 6 months. And that's what these programs do. They keep you unstable and they keep you down. And it's only because these people want the money. And that's what I saw. So why even acknowledge that? See, that's what we tried to build the community for. If they don't want to legitimately help us, we're not groveling, we're not begging, ain't no sadness out here. We'll build this thing ourselves, right? We'll have a community ourselves. And, you know, lately people are labeling me things, but at the end of the day, there was no organizer or anything like that. It was built off love. Like, we were people who just got together, had nowhere to go. And we were like, we don't want to live like this anymore. We're not rats. We're not sad. That narrative people put onto the unhoused, that's not us. We're positive and we're living our lives and making the best of every day. And through that foundation, we built something. And then Mitch came with a small army and tore it down. And my friends are displaced. My unhoused neighbors are back. 'Cause the thing is, we live outside. So even if you kick us out of Echo Park, we're still outside. Now we just outside, unsecure in where we're staying, and we just have to wander around like lost sheep, finding a spot until the LAPD comes because some rich business owner told them about a homeless person in front, and they tell us to move. They don't tell us where to go, they just tell us to move. So we find a new spot outside, and then another rich business owner or homeowner says, look, there's a homeless person, I don't like that, and the LAPD comes and then tells us to move, and like that we're herded outside, and 10 years are lost.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Oh, so because we're at the half hour now in the show, so what I want to do is transition a little bit towards what happened with the eviction this week. And so I have a clip that I would like to show. I'm going to just pop this in here. And this is, I think, Carlos, I think this is your clip, and it just shows, let's see if I can get this full screen. Okay.
Opportunity for the people to be housed, providing room and key, and that's the program they have, room and key, where they put the people in hotel rooms for about 2 months, 60 days, and then after that, God only knows what happens, because.
So you see, I think in the background here, these were all the police cars. Is that right, Carlos?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just zoom, because I want to get a close-up here. And I'm just gonna put this static off. Yeah. So you see, I'm just gonna mute this, and
So in the images,
I mean, you see here like a lot of cops out here. They look ready. They've got their batons. What happened? What went down? And was this early in the night? Was this after people were forcibly removed from the lake area? Can somebody comment on what was happening at this point with all of these cops out here blocking the streets in the neighboring area?
Well, I can tell you for.
Well,
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, Marco, Ayman and I, on the first night, on Wednesday night, we were out on the street. It was on Thursday night. I think your video you're showing now is when we were locked up inside. So Carlos would know more about us because we weren't on Wednesday night. We were able to get outside, and Ayman and a couple of the others actually led dispersing the crowd and controlling the crowd and keeping it nonviolent. We did more to keep that demonstration Wednesday night nonviolent than the police did, especially Ahmed. You got to give this brother all credit. He knew how to handle a police attack.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Well, look at we saw a community to what was being shown through social media, especially from the ground, because again, the media will spin everything sometimes, and city officials were spinning with press conferences and with statements of things that were actually the opposite, and we saw a force of the police, a brutal force, violent, coming against people that were out there to offer support and to stand with the people that have been residing at the park. So, I've been to many different protests, including Standing Rock, and that's what it reminds me of. I'm a veteran, and when I see the militarism that comes with the police, it breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. I cried that night right here because I saw how they were treating, the people that had, first of all, a First Amendment right to be there to demonstrate and bring the grievances against their government. And they were using the police against them. And that's hurtful. That's really hurtful. But I cannot even feel the pain that you guys feel, that we're right there. This is your home. Your home was being invaded by the military police. So that was what I was trying to report. Just show the facts. This is what's happening. This is the kind of wasteful money of taxpayers' money that was being thrown out there with no problem. I always say that if they will come in with the same amount of brute force with so much resources, we'll be talking something different. But the fact of the matter is that they don't. All this money that they have spent, they cannot account for it. We don't know where it has gone. We have nothing to show for. And what is even worse is that, as Ayman has said, that it's just a revolving door. There's going to be more money coming in because of this new stimulus that President Biden signed. And again, there's billions of dollars that are going to be available. My question to city officials is, what are you going to do for the unhoused? Are you just going to put another room and key program that is failing? We're going to keep the same insanity of doing things over and over again when in fact we know it doesn't work?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that night, that Thursday night, when they came in like a small army, like an occupational army, I remember we were on the inside. So we were trapped in this like open air prison that they built so fast overnight, Wednesday night, right? I woke up Thursday like, whoa, I'm trapped. It was like post-apocalyptic. There was nobody there. The liveliness that Echo Park had, like anybody that had been in that park this past few months can attest, like Carlos can attest, there was an air and spirit of peace and of positive energy and love. And then it went post-apocalyptic. and then it went military. And I remember that night when I saw from the back, because we were in the back watching the police's formation, they were sending in their troops like in formations of 10 and 10, rows of 20, marching in with the gun, like hup, 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 hup type thing. And I remember I felt so much fear for the protesters because I knew in spirit who they were. There were people who were tired of the mistreatment of power. They were people who were tired of their voices not being heard, and they came to support us. And I remember on the Instagram live, we were all like, guys, watch out, they're coming deep, watch out, they're coming deep. None of us are trained for the military. We're just average citizens trying to live our lives. And now you guys got us talking in military code. Yo, back up, get deep. What is this reality that Mitch O'Farrell brought to us? Why couldn't Mayor Garcetti in the city just communicate with its constituents and talk to us? Instead, they sent a militarized armada after us. Both Garcetti and I are citizens of America, no? Both Mitch O'Farrell and David are citizens of America, no? Why could they not meet us? Why did they have to send an army? I was so worried for y'all, and thank God that everyone's okay. But one guy did actually get his arm broken, and that's horrible. It's a peaceful protest. Why did he get his arm broken? Like, I've been injured. Now he's got another 6 to 8 months of recovery ahead of him. For what? Peacefully protesting? It's crazy.
How many members of the unhoused community at Echo Park Lake were arrested that night? Do you know? Because I saw like numbers were like 100 something people were arrested, but it wasn't clear how many of those were actual members of the community.
No, it was just two, me and David, that became arrested, because understand that a lot of my unhoused neighbors and family are traumatized by the LAPD. Years and years of traumatization from this organization bullying them. That's what it comes down to. And, you know, a lot of them left. Like, a lot of the pictures of trash Mitch O'Farrell is showing, that's not trash. That's people fleeing like refugees from a small army on the way. I mean, traumatized people who, the moment they see a police officer, they change their demeanor. You could tell their spirit shuts down. Like, these, you know, they've been brutalized by them, and you can't expect them to stand up and stay there and get arrested. That's not fair. And why should they? Why do all of us, like, clearly we all must become warriors. Clearly we all, the time is right. We must harden our spirits because the enemy is real. They don't listen to the public will. But why should these old women and men and people with mental illness, you know, have to go through this? And, you know, me and David stayed behind and we got arrested, especially because we have no warrants or priors, and a lot of my unhoused friends might have those things, so it's not the right thing to do. But between traumatization and fear, you know, they ran a lot of my neighbors out and displaced a tight-knit community that was working together, and now I don't know where a lot of them are.
So let's clarify a couple of things. Let's clarify a couple of things to your point, Carlos. That at your question about how many people were arrested, it was almost 200 people, residents of Echo Park, who came out and Los Angeles, who came out to be arrested in order to stand with us. And we thank every single one of them who put their bodies on the line. And there were, because as Ayman said, so many of us out here have priors, have felonies, are on probation, have children, and they could not be arrested. Half of them are out roaming around. Half of them took the hotel rooms in fear of what was coming, even though they knew they'd be cycled out on the street. And what the city's afraid of is the movement that we're building here in Los Angeles that is bringing housed and homeless together to stand up against the city's corruption, their misuse of all of these funds. And they are working overtime to try to launch a smear campaign to try to cover this up. And they're hoping that we're going to go away. But again, we're going to be out Tuesday explaining all of this. And a lot of the people who were put on buses or offered rides to the hotels that they were promised in the last month are going to be with us on Tuesday. So we're going to start laying this out and in detail, because they have dominated their access to the media. They've shut a lot of us out. And we're only able to get it out through shows like this and our Instagrams. And Carlos, and so you're actually getting the first chance for us to try to get a little bit of the real truth out to a broader audience about what's going on, and we hope everybody will pay attention on Tuesday. And because this is a critical message. There's too many people in this city who are terrified, facing rents, and the government is getting ready to tell everybody, okay, we're going to reset. We're going to make you whole. You're only going to have to pay 20% of your previous year's back rents. But even if they do that, even if anybody can withstand that, jobs have been cut by a third. People are going through tremendous turmoil, and just to keep us all paying these super high rents, even when this another $1 trillion of stimulus comes out of the federal government, it's going to evaporate very fast, and everybody's still going to be paying these unsustainable housing costs and facing homelessness and this continual cycle back out into the street.
So, could you tell us what time this event is going to be on Tuesday and how our viewers can get involved?
10 a.m. at LA City Hall. And Ayman, why don't you tell folks how they can get involved?
I'm not really good at like media or technology, but the game plan is Tuesday at City Hall, because City Council won't do their job and serve the public. We're going to have our press conference at 10 a.m. when they should be opening and serving the public. And the goal is to tell the truth from the perspective of the people who were actually there, because Mitch was not there. Mayor Garcetti was not there, but there were people on the ground who were actually there on both sides. And that's what the press conference is going to be, from that inside open air perspective and then from the outside. Because what that army divided was a neighborhood and community trying to link up and love each other. And then they stepped in the middle, had squad formations, and divided that. They divided a community trying to love each other. What? That makes no sense. And now David's right. They're smear campaigning the reality of what that love looked like. Because anybody who came to that park over the course of these past few months can attest it was a park of love and positivity and growth. And now it's all been destroyed by the army Mitch O'Farrell sent, rather than talking to his people. So yeah, Tuesday we're going to have that press conference. I think Carlos or David know more on how to link up with it. And please check out our Instagram, Echo Park Rise Up, to see the story of the past year.
Yes, for the press conference, we're working on that right now, the logistics, etc. But look, what is more important is that this is an opportunity for the Unhoused community to be able to speak in ways that have not been allowed and heard before. Just like this broadcast this morning, a lot of people have no clue what's going on with the shelters. A lot of people have no clue in knowing the fact that Councilman Mitch O'Farrell has not stepped foot on the lake, on the park, since he started, maybe one time. I stopped his office multiple times. They were rude. They were dismissive. They didn't have no interest in hearing from any of the advocates, to bring any of the concerns that we had, or perhaps even solutions that we were willing to offer to them. In all my years of activism and relationships with city officials and politicians, I have never been treated like the way his office has treated me. And this speaks volumes of who Mitch O'Farrell is. Yes, he's going to sound good, to some people that don't like the Unhoused, that see them as an eyesore. But the fact of the matter is that he's got a responsibility to all members of the district, all members of the community, not just the rich and powerful that are having their homes overlooking the lake that wants them removed. He's got a responsibility too to the people that are living under the bridge right there on Sunset Boulevard, that are sleeping behind dumpsters because
Yep.
of fear that the police are going to come and attack them. He's got a responsibility to the senior citizens that have no access to healthcare and have to go sleeping in a sleeping bag. If they're lucky, have a tent that is so unsecure. So many women get raped because there's absolutely no security when you're sleeping on the streets. The streets are friends to no one. But if you're pushed to the street to those levels, as I have spoken to so many people, is you adapt. You do whatever you can to try to survive. I have seen some of our brothers and sisters that are sleeping on the streets, literally with rats, crawling all over them, because these are the kind of conditions that the people are living in. And my thing, I want the city officials to come get off their offices, get out their nice, multi-million-dollar homes, get off of there and talk over there. Talk to them. Learn.
Carlos,
Yes.
we are going to do it together. Because as you can see, one of the things that happened because of the Echo Park Rise Up is all the community groups that have come together throughout Los Angeles, the Street Watch, the Ground Game LA, and a lot of mutual aid organizations and tenants' rights groups. We're going to show people, and all the work that you're doing and with the Bernie Sanders Brigade, and all of us are going to be showing the city our unity and how we're coming together on Tuesday. And that's one of the best things, I think, because it's time the city had a movement that got to the core of the issue. The core of the issue is, are you safe where you live? Can you afford where you live? And that's whether you're homeless or housed. And they're making our streets more and more unsafe. We didn't make Echo Park unsafe. We worked double time to make it safe. They are the ones that intentionally tried to cover over and smear our efforts and try to portray us as not being not bringing anything that other than their fake alternatives. They're trying to keep us trapped. And people of the city, I think we're going to start to see the beginnings, Carlos, of the movement that's going to put pressure on the city like never before. And we are going to be seeking, we need to get back to Echo Park. That park has been closed down by a secret cabal. It wasn't the cities, the people of Echo Park closed it up, and the people want it reopened. And the people need more open parks. Everybody wants, including us, want to get people a chance to get off of the sidewalks. And we are not shelter resistant. We are shelter aware of the failures of those. So we're going to be rebutting those big lies that they're putting out, that we made the mess there when they were the ones that made the mess there, that we are charging rent is absurd. The biggest person charging rent in Los Angeles is the mayor of Los Angeles. So let's arrest him for charging rent. Nobody in Echo Park Rise Up was charging rent. It was a park. There were a lot of things going on there, and we worked to lessen the violence between homeless people there, lessen the extortion, lessen the sexual threat. We had a woman there who was raped in a city shelter, and she came out to the Echo Park Rise Up community, and she said she felt safer in Echo Park than she did in any city shelter.
That's amazing, David.
Yeah,
Ayman?
I just want to say real quick. I can only speak to what my eyes have seen. I can't speak to what yours have with the unhoused you've interacted and what they've experienced. But from what I've seen, and I made friends with basically in a 1 to 2 mile radius, every unhoused person. I mean, we were all one big community. And the thing is, it's Carlos, you said that the streets are not friends to anybody. And I just want to be clear on a distinction there. It's not outside that's dangerous. It's not, the so-called streets. What's dangerous is two things. One, that narrative, because that narrative keeps people scared of people. Nature in reality is actually very pleasant and peaceful, and we don't have to interact with each other under this narrative of streets or gangster or whoop-de-whoop different things. Like, no, we're people at the end of the day, and we both have mothers, we both have embarrassments, we both have crushes, like we both went through life, you know what I mean? And we can communicate. So it's not the streets that were ever unsafe, it was that perspective. But that's just a perspective that can be changed, and that's what we tried to do at Echo Park Rise Up. That's what we tried to show, like the unhoused, not y'all who are housed. What the real goal was to wake up my unhoused family. You don't have to live like a rat. You don't have to feel like you're less than someone because you're homeless. The reality of your humanity doesn't change just because you find yourself outside. And that was the goal of it. And then the second thing that's really dangerous on these streets is the LAPD and the city. They're the biggest threat to the unhoused folk, not killings and rape. These are words that we have to be careful about because it paints pictures in people's head that it's the Wild West outside. It's not the Wild West outside. People are living in love. The Wild West mentality comes from Mitch's office and the LAPD, who think they're SEAL Team 6 and come militarized on a community with their hands up, sitting down peacefully, just trying to love each other. That's what we were trying to do. One second, let me decline this call. Yeah, and that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to love each other, and we succeeded in that. So just to be clear, what was dangerous and what is dangerous on these streets is false narratives that divide the common humanity. And then the LAPD, the rich realtors, the NIMBYs who I do declare, you know, they just don't want to see tents in front of them. It's not a tent in front of you. It's a human with nowhere to go, right? These are not people we need to even communicate with because they don't know how to think right. But yeah, that's what's dangerous outside.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. You know, we are learning, and this is why it's important to hear voices like yours and the other brothers and sisters, because we see our world through our own eyes, but you're the one that are really dealing with this issue. So thank you for clarifying that. I want to learn more. That's my attitude. I want to learn, and I want to see how I can help.
Well,
David had a comment, I think. David?
I think one of the proofs of everything Ayman is saying is look at the unity. Here we have an older homeless man like me who has found comradeship with a young man and leadership from a young man like Ayman. And there's proof right there. And in terms of all of, like he says, all the picture that they try to paint of how dangerous it is, I was never approached and charged and threatened with anything in Echo Park except by one individual. And there are individuals out there, and we've worked to de-escalate them. If the city wants to put out these slurs that there were guns and there was bring the facts forward. All they're putting out right now are a massive campaign of rumors to slur us and to get people hiding. Show us. You say there was rent being charged out there? Prove it. Bring it out. And until they do, the people of the city should tell them, prove it or shut up and take a look at what we've done and give us back our rightful place in that park.
Absolutely, David. And
Can I say one thing?
About,
I know you have...
Go ahead, Ayman.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No,
Okay. It's actually funny, really, because they're trying to say guns in the park. They brought guns in the park. Okay, there was no guns in the park until the city decided that the bathroom needed security. So they hired an armed guard for the public bathrooms, but only on the homeless side. So and it's right next to the playground. I mean, what if that armed guard decided to let off that arm and ricochet and hit a kid? There were no guns into the park until Mitch O'Farrell decided that a beautiful, family-friendly public park and its bathrooms needed armed guard. You know what I mean? Like, what are you guarding in a bathroom? The toilet paper? You're going to kill somebody over toilet paper? They brought guns into the park. Let's be clear.
So true. So true. And they're showing pictures of needles in the park. Did they show one picture of the Narcan that we trained people to administer to people suffering from drug overdoses? No. You know, did they show, you know, it's just absurd. It's almost like everything that they're doing, they're projecting on us. Who's the biggest drug dealer in America? It's their system, not us. We're cleaning up and trying to rescue human beings from their terror and their horror. And it's amazing. Their rents are what's killing people. And we're out there trying to stop people from charging rent on the street who might try it. And as a community, Ayman is absolutely right. I've been on the streets for 20 years. I'm a white guy who grew up in these suburbs, and I found more safety and respect from people on the street who others would look at and say, oh, that's a gang member. Once you stop looking at people and stop judging them, you learn that the city does have love. And this political system is trying to separate us all.
Yeah, David, thank you for that comment, and Ayman, because I've been listening to this discussion, and it does remind me a lot of the spirit of Occupy LA in particular. I don't know if other occupies were like this, but I was there and every day, and part of that was building a new community. What I thought was the most important thing of what Occupy LA did was this experiment in community. And there were a lot of unhoused people who ended up at City Hall as well, partly because, you know, the LAPD said, like, hey, there's a place where you can lay down on the, you know, you can sleep and nobody will kick you out at 6 p.m. And now all of these people who showed up, who were part of Occupy, suddenly we're faced with how do we take care of everyone who is here, especially those who have nowhere else to go. And it was amazing. There was a garden, there was first aid kit stand, there were people bringing food, there was a library. And what you and Ayman have been telling me sounds exactly like that, where people were trying to take care of each other through mutual aid, trying to build a community that was different from the community in which we live in. And I think that is so important, because the community that we have right now as a society in the United States is one that is of distrust, like Ayman was saying, and David, that we're afraid of each other, but we're really just human beings, and that we actually need a society that is not built on distrust and fear, but built on love. And I think that this whole discussion and this community that what at Echo Park Lake you were describing is truly that kind of vision of a community that we need in order to have a sustainable society, especially you know, looking at all of the income inequality that we have, climate change, you know, rich people, unhoused people, we're all affected by these things. And the fact that they would, you know, take water from you as if you were just subhuman, you know, like this untouchable caste, is just so disgusting. And for me, I feel like I remember how angry I was at Mayor Villaraigosa for evicting everybody from Occupy. And it was not perfect, but you know, he told the same kind of lies, that there were children and there were you know, needles and it was filthy. They brought people out in hazmat suits to make their point, and it sounds the exact same thing. And I'm just, I mean, well, I'm so frustrated to hear, and so angry to hear these things. But I'm also, I have a lot of hope in hearing what you've described, and I want to see more of this type of community happen in this country. And there was a question. This brings me to somebody's question earlier. One of our viewers, Raphael, he asked, or they asked, is there any hope that a community or village like Echo Park can be established elsewhere? And so I want to put that out to the both of you to answer and your thoughts on that, because you as a group of people here who are in a difficult situation are really, I think, bringing forward a different way in which we can live, in which we don't have the police, you know, killing people with their guns and stuff, where you can, you know, the community can take care of itself. So, David, do you think that we can see something like what happened at Echo Park Village happen again someplace else?
Yes, but not under the choking of the LAPD and the system, because if it happened at Occupy and it happened to us here, that means there's a pattern, and we have to break that pattern. We can't let these power structures think they can keep stomping down love, because that's what they're doing. They stomp down love in the Occupy you described, and they stomp down love in Echo Park. And without putting too much information out there right now, we're hoping that we can build this somewhere else with some security. And until that's brought more into an actuality, it'd be very tough to build this, because building this was just easy. I mean, it was just loving each other, and the road bumps, whatever, there's always road bumps, but it was just under that foundation of mutual aid, support, and loving each other. But what it seems is that Mayor Garcetti, Mitchell Farrell, and the current power structures make it their business, right? The LAPD makes it its business to stomp down love just when it starts reaching a point. So we as a people now need to come together and decide, are we okay with this? Are we okay with the continuous breaking of these communities, the continuous shutting down and stopping and halting of love? Because it'd be very tough to build this if we don't come to a consensus that we're tired of power structures destroying what we build out of love and out of community.
I am just as optimistic as, yeah, I am just as optimistic as I am is, and we are going to be building community. The people are coming out to the streets and insisting on it. And if it doesn't happen this week, it'll happen next week or the week after next. It's happening very soon. We have to demand space in a free society where people can be free of the corruption of this society if we're going to have a place where we can speak the truth, where we can confront this system and all of its schemes and ways of subverting the human will of humanity against their attempts to marginalize our lives and turn us all into refugees. There's going to be, so, you know, I think we're going to see the city is not going to be able to resist. They can bring out armies, but the people will just come out in bigger numbers. And we are going to see very soon huge numbers of people insisting, along with us homeless, that they need a place to stay. And I think the first place that we should be looking at are the parks throughout the county. Renters need relief. Homeless people need relief.
Margaret, we are about an hour, and I promised them that the show will only be an hour. They have so much. Ayman, I want to tell you, brother, you inspire me for so many reasons, but you have touched my heart. You really have touched my heart, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, both your stories, your commitment, your advocacy, David and Ayman, is just so it's inspiring. But I'm angry and I'm upset to hear that you have to face this, and I don't think it's right. I think it's so unjust and inhumane. But at the same time, the fact that you can find a way forward and through community and a way that we can all participate is very powerful. And I think we need to see things like this, more like this. So thank you so much for being on the show with us, and I hope we can hear from the both of you again. And if either of you, I would love to give each of you just like a minute to say your final thoughts on everything we've talked about today before we wrap up. So David, why don't we start with you, and then Ayman will give you the last say or the last word.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a young voice in Los Angeles that speaks the truth so clearly. And the city's out to do everything they can do to shut him down. But the people are hearing what they know in their hearts to be true. And, we're building, and Ayman is just reaching out, and we're both saying to this community, let's all come together and as people and do what we people need to do. And I just am really congratulating. I'm here because of what this young voice is building in this city, and we all need to keep listening.
Ayman.
I just wanted to say, when a spirit hears truth, it cannot be denied. And the truth is that there's no difference between us, regardless of economic position, that we share a common humanity. And, you know, many people want to love. They want to love their neighbor. They want to love each other. And what's happening is they're scared to, because if we can't even build a community in, like, because look at what we did in Echo Park. It was clean. It was in respect to everything. If we can't even build a community of love where housed neighbors help support unhoused neighbors and we work together because we're scared of what power structures may do, then there's no hope. And I guess I wanted to just end it with, if you feel inspired by love, do not fear what can come from power structures. Do not fear what they can do. Just go forward, right? Do what you do and do it quickly. Go forward with your actions of love. If you have a thought and that thought comes with an intention of purity, that thought comes with a genuine hope of doing good, like Carlos, when he comes out to encampments with his camera alone to show the truth, because that's how he feels he can help present the truth, do it. Don't think about it and not do it, or don't think about it and get scared at what's happened. Forget their armies, forget their guns. They can have all that. Let them put no fear in your heart and move forward with love on how you feel you can best do it, on how your spirit guides you to do it. Just move forward and let's take action together. Power structures,
And come out
you do not
Tuesday.
put fear in our hearts no more.
And come out Tuesday, 10 o'clock, LA City
Yeah.
Hall.
Yes, we're gonna be out there. Thank you guys. I appreciate for taking the time, especially during this very difficult time for you guys. But also I see the hope. I see the hope because I saw the hundreds of people that came out to support. That gives me hope. So let's keep moving forward. We're here for you anytime you want to come in and use this platform to speak on any of the issues that you have in your heart. This is your home. This is your station. This is your page. This is the people's page. So I want to let go on a really good note. But one thing that caught my eye when I met Ayman was that in his tent he had a little Bernie sign. And I say, wow, look at this guy. Oh, there was his Bernie sign. Good thing.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you. We really should wrap up now. We're 12 minutes over the hour, but it's been such a fantastic show, fantastic guests. And thank you to the audience for your questions and your engagement with us today. We will be back next week, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Like always, please, if you really liked that episode today, please share it with your friends, your family members, and always remember to tune in on Sunday morning. Be with us every week while we talk about strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. You've been watching Stand Up, Fight Back. I'm Margot Paez. And over here, oh, there we go. Over here, up there, that's Carlos right there. He's my amazing co-host, the amazing grassroots organizer and wonderful human being. And today our guests have been Ayman and David of the Echo Park Lake Unhoused community. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and the rest of your week. Make it great, make it safe, get vaccinated, wear a mask, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, David.